It's gonna be like the most messed up podcast.
I don't even know how much I'm gonna use. So this is Augie T. I'm Kathy with a K, radio broadcaster in Honolulu, Hawaii, POV, Radio Music Hawaii. And Augie, I first met when he was doing radio with Lanai. He was paired up with him.
If we seem docile, it's because we did this like the last hour, and I told Kathy, this is something that probably we've never done before. Interview somebody that went all over the place, because Kathy had specific questions.
Because I'm organized.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I try to be in my brain, but cannot. Yeah, so we've known each other for a very long time.
That's good. Thanks for coming by.
No, I like it. I like this setup. I like this setup.
So yeah, how did you get hooked up with Lanai? Did you guys do comedy together and then it was radio?
No, it was Andy Bumatai.
Shut it down.
I promise to God. I did open mic at the Honolulu Comedy Club. 3 weeks of doing work at the Honolulu Comedy Club. After doing open mic, Eddie Sachs, who was the owner at the Honolulu Comedy Club, said, I don't know what you said. You made people laugh. Come back. I'll give you $35.
How old were you?
I was probably like 29, maybe 20. Yeah, I don't know.
But
27 years ago.
There was a time when there were several comedy spots.
Yeah.
That was
the Honolulu Comedy Club was the place where, all the mainland comics went. George Wallace, and so I went. I was a fan of comedy because I've been a fan of comedy for a long time. When I first saw Andy when I was in the 4th grade, right? So I went in, I auditioned. I got the chance to come back. After doing 3 weeks, I was at the hospital. I worked at Kapilani Medical for 16 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so Andy came in with his wife, and I was tripping out because I was like, that's the guy I saw in the 4th grade, right? And I probably went in the elevator because he was sitting in the waiting room. I went in the elevator about 5 times, and after the 5th time, he looked at me and said, dude, like talk, we can talk. He was wearing his hat that he was using on, what was that TV show he was on?
Marker.
Yeah. So we sat down, we talked. He's telling me that his wife was having an operation. And I told him, like, yeah, no, I saw you and I was in the 4th grade. I was giving him, and of course, he probably heard that from a ton of guys who wanted to be on comic. And I was telling him that I started doing comedy 3 weeks ago. You know what's cool? He went in my department because I was working graveyard shift. Nobody was there, and the guy that I saw in the 4th grade went hang out with me, and he wrote my first like real joke. So I did jokes about making doo-doo at the comedy club, right?
Yeah.
But I told him I was working on this bit about a guy that fell through the elevator shaft at Kuhio Park Terrace.
Okay.
So I had this guy that fell in the elevator shaft at Kuhio Park Terrace, and they said, nah, that was an accident. That was someone bungee jumping.
Still works.
Except the guy, and what the joke was I was like, only in Kalihi, the guy falls in the elevator shaft, lives to tell the story, and as they taking him through on a gurney to the ambulance, people was like, oh, and he had a shock up. I'm gonna be okay, right? It's so funny. And so Andy was laughing. He was like, yeah, there's someone bungee jumping, except the guy was Filipino. He would break the fall because he had chickens under his arm. So see?
He can doctor stuff.
Right, right. But then that's because that years of, that's why like, we talk now and it's almost upsetting. Get mainland comics that come, that do ethnic comedy over here, and people like go in droves because they're so fascinated because they see them on YouTube, not knowing that had guys here before me that was doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we never got, I remember he's telling me that when Andy did Showtime, what you're doing is just ethnic comedy, and it's.
Can you imagine being a trailblazer?
Yeah, but like at that time, so he had to, he had to change it. He had to modify his act, and I think, He's
really, the thing I really appreciate about Andy Bumatai is he was able to, with each incarnation of how comedy was, whatever was popular, he was able to try a little bit of that.
Right. So, but like you would hear it, or you're not local enough. Get guys. It's hard being on stage, and think about that.
But he was the one. He was like the guinea pig for like so many. Yeah.
And if it's anybody that should have made it, you know, like selling out arenas and yeah, it was Andy because he's been doing it for a long time. Yeah, and then, you know, my dumbass came along, right? And, you know, I took local to, I think, a different, like, like, you know, like,
you made local,
accelerate.
Local bankable.
Yeah, it was bankable. But like, you know, we sat that whole night, right? And I remember even Andy saying, I thought, it's the last time I'm gonna see this guy, right? Because everybody wants to be a comedian. So what happened was, like, 2 weeks later, I'm at the comedy club. Eddie Sachs goes, we have a benefit show in Waianae, but none of the comics like go to Waianae. Would you do it? Because you live in Waianae. I'll give you $50. Can you do 10 minutes? I was like, yeah. Right? And Freddie Morris and remember Freddie Morris?
Yeah, the ventriloquist.
Yes, he was the headliner. So I was like, hey, I get to work with Freddie Morris. How cool is that? Right? So I go, yeah, I take the gig. It's for Waianae High School band. I hear on bike, because you can hear the bike, you know? And I see one guy come out of the shadows, and I'm going, holy smoke, it's Andy. I was just talking to him 2 weeks ago, and he was looking at me going, that's the guy I saw in the hospital.
Wow.
Right.
See, you left an impression with him, and
Well, the thing is, like, for me, I always tell kids, like, if you're passionate about something, like, you gotta go for it, because the universe answers your prayers or whatever, you know, because I always knew I wanted to be a comic. And the crazy thing is, like, the guy that I saw when I was in the 4th grade was now, you know, like, looking at me doing stand-up comedy after the show, because what happened was Freddie, his dad got sick and he canceled. So he asked Andy to fill in. How's that one, right?
That's serendipity, yeah.
Yes, and now we talk, and he goes, what you doing? I go, I do it in Honolulu Comedy Club. He goes, why don't you come do Polynesian Palace?
That's big time.
Yeah, why don't you come? I'll put you on. Why you like come do the Polynesian Palace?
Yeah.
So I was double dipping. I'll do Polynesian Palace and then run to the Honolulu Comedy Club. And then the comedy club owner found out, oh, you doing that? You know, it was like really sad.
Yeah,
it was like, you're taking food out of my kid's mouth. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So you got to choose. Well, I choose Andy. I don't choose you. So I became Andy's opening act.
Oh.
Yeah. And so there's a really iconic picture of, you know, Andy doing this young stand-up with James Graham Benton at the Polynesian Palace, and you get Paul Gata, you get Hawaiian Ryan in that picture, Lee Cataluna, Kento, you know, and me, and then Lanai. So what happened was, I started opening for Andy, and Andy had to do this prom event at the Pomaikai ballrooms, and Lanai, you know, he was a nighttime radio guy, you know, catering to all catering to all the young kids, right? So he was hosting this prom event. Andy was there to do comedy, and Andy told Lanai, you mind if I let this guy come up and do comedy? And it's like, yeah. And I went up, and Lanai said I bombed. When early on I thought I killed every time, right? And that's how I met Lanai the first time. He said that I bombed, and I go, I never bombed. What are you talking about? The owner at that time, or the general manager, what's his name, Jewish guy, he came to the Polynesian Palace show, and he said, why don't you come? Hang out with Lanai and Ryan. And I would go up, do the local character bit, and then Ryan went away, and I just kind of naturally stepped in, and that was the beginning of Lanai and Augie. That's a long time ago. And then Lanai went away to do, you know, San Francisco radio, and then I was getting sick and tired of doing it, because I was an old dude. I was like, I'm not talking to 16. You know, like, I started late in the game. I wanted to do stand-up comedy, so I went to do stand-up comedy, and then this came about, 98.5, and he called. He said, hey, why don't you do morning radio? You know. And he originally wanted me and Justin Cruz.
Justin wasn't already
he was doing, no, he was doing radio at KQMQ at that time.
Yeah.
So that's what he wanted. And I go, are you dumb? What? I called him on. I said, dude, You realize that when we're doing nighttime radio at I-94, all these people are like same age as us, would kill it if you and I did it. You know, and because he was the program director, and then we did it. And then, you know, that whole thing like took off. You know, became the program director for 98.5, and I was doing comedy. Right? I was like, you know, I was doing Captain's Table. I was filling in for Frank De Lima. I was touring with Capenna. I was like going all over the South Pacific, and you know, nobody knew who I was, and you know, I was slowly building my little audience. And then he called and said, "Hey," and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it if you do it." You know, and that's how it all came about.
Because I still imagine if either of you guys are out, people still ask if like maybe you're around the corner. Hey, Lanai, Augie around here too. You
Yeah,
know,
you get a lot of that. Like, Lanai, Augie. Augie. Oh yeah. So that's how that whole thing came about. You know, and you know, he sold me on like, dude, it's a different audience. You know, your comedy career gonna thrive because of radio. It's new, it's fresh, and yeah. So it played well for the last, you know, 20-something years. You know, I still do radio, and I still understand the value. You know, but you know, I'm at that age where like, you know, it's time to do something different. So, you know, and I had fun. I mean, I lit the candle at both ends for on good 17, I think. You know, because the 10 years before that, I wasn't making money. I was doing, hey, come do this. You like plate, make plate, make plate. And then
juice.
Yeah, and then I did that Hawaii theater show, and it just, you know, that thing took off. And then, you know, you get guys going, hey, gotta do another one. And then you get all this insecurity about like being in the public eye. You can take a break, but I never do that. I kept it lit. And it could be maybe part of the reason why I'm like wanting to leave is because I'm tired. You know, maybe if I step back, look around, you know, because I like competition because of boxing, you know, and I love competing, you know, and for almost 17 years, I was waiting. Maybe somebody gonna come up where I like, you know, maybe light my fire. Oh, who's this young buck coming over here trying to take the, you know, I never have that.
So who?
And I like to think, is because, and I tell Andy them this, right, Andy, Frank, I think I did every premise possible. Like if somebody gonna talk about gay kids, people gonna go, bro, Augie did that. Somebody gonna talk about ice addicts, oh, bro, Augie did that. Dysfunctional family member, bro, Augie did that.
Male, female, older, younger.
Right. So like, I like to think that like, you know, I kind of made my own little trailblazing like Andy, you know what I mean? So we talk about that a lot. It's like, how crazy is that? I came around when had Bulaia, where everybody was like watching Bulaia, and I was like, you know how jealous I was? This guy is using Frank De Lima, Andy Bumatai, and Rap Replinga's bits. He's stealing people's material, and people going, oh my God, this is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen, right? He did that character that Andy, Frank, but he was talking to a new generation, right? And I knew that if I was patient, my time would come. You know, like, and part of it is like, you know, having that passion to be authentic every time and be funny, like always working hard, always, you know, being ready to perform, and that's from the boxing. So that gave me that competitive spirit because I saw, you know, Bulaia and a little bit of, you know, Frank, Andy, them, like, okay, but I gotta compete at that level, you know, and that's the thing, you know, you like stay on top.
When they talk about like getting a solid 5 and a solid 10, and then like you have like an hour, you have solid many hours that you could probably draw upon from all the years. What don't you use again? I'm taking
do the Jason.
Play Freebird.
Do the Batu addict. Do the Samoan gymnastic person.
Yeah.
So now I just ask, what bit you guys want me to do? Because it's like, remember when Prince came to Hawaii and never did any of his Prince songs? People got mad.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like if Willie Kano do Kuipo, it's over, right? So
you gotta do the kachi kachi.
Almost. People almost. But then like people, I think over the years I figured out like that he gonna probably say, and I think that's the reason why they kept coming, because they know they was gonna hear something different. You know, like they knew, like, okay, Augie gonna go to his stuff that works because maybe a different variation of, but like you're gonna hear something different, guarantee.
What is it, one maybe bit that surprised you, that when it came to you, that people got it? Like you said, there are things that come into our minds that's like, oh, I cannot say that. It's just not appropriate or whatever.
Oh, I did.
But then you go there.
Well, I did one show where I talked about being molested, and I was kind of surprised that people responded the way they did, and I had ladies come up to me after and go, hey, man, I appreciate you, you know, can laugh at that, and, you know, that, you know.
Just being that honest.
Even when I watch it now, I'm going, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I was like.
But that helps a lot of people.
Well, in my head, I was like, okay. So, and I was like, it was like maybe 5 years ago. You know, I started like, okay, I'm gonna dive deep into why I am the way I am. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted people to kind of figure it out, like yeah, he's a character and he loves doing, but like, there's gotta be a real person behind all of that, yeah? And so that's the reason why I did that, you know. And I was kind of surprised that people, you know, first, whenever you say molestation, it's like one vomit word, or like, oh, you know, I was molested, you know. But, you know, that was like, you know, for me, was like almost testing myself, like, yeah. Like, I know I would never ever swear on stage, but what if I got really, I did a bit where people kind of went, what?
Oh, that line between what's uncomfortable and what's
Correct.
funny.
Yeah.
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 Being
And
able to
like,
find
you
the
know,
humor,
and
yeah.
it's,
That's
I don't
that's
do
an
it
art
anymore.
form.
Right. I don't do it.
Great.
I
Pat you on the back. Good job. Good
Thank
job.
you. I mean, I try to, I mean, once in a while, I may talk about it in the conversation, but, you know, I watch the video over and over again, and I go, ooh, maybe it was kind of tough for people to hear. But this is like 6 years ago. You know, like, people not, right now, you say it after watching, you know, Leaving Neverland, it's almost like nothing.
It's always something, though.
I know, but like, you know, it's almost like people are like, so like, okay. I remember like we would talk, Lanai, and it was like, what is some things you cannot talk about? Like, you know, when we first got together, don't ever talk about that, bro. Don't even mention that, because I don't like nobody know. I'm not ready for letting anybody know. It's so weird, but like how, you know, it's almost numbing, like that you're not shocking me by saying that. But for me, I needed to do it because it was like, okay, it was almost freeing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. See, now you can fully run for office.
Yeah. You know,
I
I think,
different
you know,
when you're presenting your own history, or the open secret.
Right.
If you present it. If somebody else like comes around and says, "Oh, did you know about?" It's just like that don't make sense.
Yeah. And you know, the God's honest truth is that, you know, I know people are gonna use a lot of what I said on stage against me, but like it's nothing. It's like, okay, yeah, I cannot erase that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't make me a bad person.
But
You
it
know what I
will
mean?
help you sell CDs and tapes. I don't know how downloads.
Yeah, so that's you know, that's basic in a nutshell. Like,
No, you know what? When you were talking about how you've done all the stand-up, I think the next possible, whenever you're ready, would be a kind of again, a one-man return to be reflective about your life. You know.
yeah,
and just honing that.
I you know, what I want to do is like, one, I want to run for office, and then
I'm not offended that you're looking at your
I know, you know, I'm supposed to.
I know, he's supposed to be gone
no,
already.
you see the tire? This is my SS Auto. Is a guy that does my. I'm gonna do. Watch this. I'm gonna do this. Hey Sean, this is Kathy with a K. We're doing a short video. I'll be done in like what, Kathy?
2 minutes.
Really? Okay.
No, probably more.
Like, yeah.
This
like,
is gonna take longer just sending this.
and I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna come. Promise. Oh, he said you gotta leave soon. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you better go then.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so everything before this segment, we're keeping, this is the segment that's going to go to
Yeah.
air. Everything else is
we're
black
just-
mail. Brown mail.
Right.
Brown mail. It's
Brown
brown
mail.
mail.
Okay, so what was the question before? Was
About doing a
Oh.
one-man,
yeah, so you
like
know,
a reflection retrospective kind of thing.
yeah, while I'm, hopefully, running for office, I know I want to, and I will. I will take a time this year to like sit down with people, listen. I want them to see like there's a serious side of Augie that loves the community, loves helping out, and listen and see if I can do something with the celebrity, not like dictate like I am the senator. No, you know what I mean. I want to be able to.
Where's your district?
I live in Eva, and so
You want to represent Eva? Or you
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'm looking at.
Are you and Kim moving or something?
No. I love Eva. I
Yeah.
love being there. So yeah, I'm just gonna spend a year like doing that, and I want to write a book, and then do a one-man show, kind of like John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo.
Yeah. I want to try to see if I can be my mom and my dad, and talk about how challenging it was, but being thankful for the challenges. A lot of us don't like hearing, bad things or, stuff that like brings you down. But I think if you can overcome that, holy smoke, the victory is just right around the corner. You know what I mean? And there's been a lot of setbacks, and there's been a lot of victories because of setbacks. It hasn't been like, oh my God, the road is lined in gold for me the last 27 years. Oh my God. Oh, thank you. Yes. Never was like that.
Yeah.
And for some of us, we'll never ever be Bruno Mars, and make that kind of money that
Would you
they
want to
make.
be Bruno Mars though? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of missed family time, vacations.
But we all
New Year's Eve, I mean, he was working. I mean, even though he loves what he does and all that, I mean, it's just like,
but
that's a lot of work.
that's what you want, very
achieve?
passionate
Yeah.
about doing that, and that's like Don Ho told me this, right? You're on superstar or you're on celebrity, right? So I understood that a celebrity doesn't make money. People just go, it is Augie. Hey, there's a superstar is Bruno Mars, where he's in a bubble, making all this crazy money, right? Is he happy? I don't know. Maybe. What's happening in his life daily? Oh, too bad he cannot just go Foodland. Without being recognized. Hey, take my picture. I can take a picture. And then, so I want to be able to use the gratefulness of people coming out the last 27 years to do good.
And really give back and really be able to give back.
Yeah, I don't want to be a guy that shows up at the Hokus. Everybody go, hey, that's the guy now. He wasn't on that group, Society of Seven. He looked like one of the guys from Society of Seven. Don't get me wrong, I love all those guys, but that's why they have it, so that, for that one night, people can remember who they are. Oh my God, look at that. For that one night, you can feel like, I'm somebody.
What's the name of your group in high school? Give a shout out to the boys.
Nah, no need. They know who they are.
Where can people, so since it's March 2019, where are people finding you now?
I'm on 93.1 The Paina mornings. Okay? And then I do sweep strategies. I market it.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'm helping.
with that.
Yeah, I'm helping a lot of local people learn how to pay down their debt, and it's helped me like majorly. So, you know what I mean. And it's just one way of like, even also like, why am I marketing, helping people get out of debt, teaching people how to use their money wisely? Why is that happening after all the craziness that I went through? And it's because I think everything happens for a reason. And I sit with couples who have 2 kids, husband working, wife just got out of college. At the end of the month, they only have $200 cash flow. We help them maneuver their money around, and they end up getting $1,300 cash flow. And you can see the relief on a couple. And I go, I wonder how much people like that every day, you know, one paycheck away of being homeless, making ends meet. And I know that because I lived like that, you know, all my life growing up in Kalihi Valley. But how can, when we live in an island that's only 2% unemployment rate, that means if you went out and you asked, or you went out and you worked hard to get one job, you will get a job. You honestly will get a job. I've never seen poor the way I've seen poor the last couple of years. Like I worked on a big island with Mayor Kinoi, then I did a year with Lieutenant Governor Shan Setsu, and we went around. I went into communities, and I went, man, I thought I was poor. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of local people struggling, and how is that? When we look outside, thriving, you know? Buildings going up, people coming in, but they get the everyday person that works hard in Hawaii, they gotta make $93,000. And that's low income.
Yeah.
$93,000 with 4 kids, that's low income.
Single people, gee whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
So either the system is screwed up, or we gotta get rid of people who continue to make us suffer, you know? There's a lot of wasted money happening right now, and not enough, I think, dreamers. And when I say dreamers, people who believe in hard work. Yeah? It's good, like, you cannot have everything for free. Sorry. Cannot. You gotta work for something.
Let's leave on an up note.
I thought I just. If you bust your ass, you will get what you want. And even if you don't, you'll feel very satisfied that you bust your ass and that nobody had to hand anything over to you. It's the most freeing thing.
He's a great, like literally a great example, like day in and day out, of having goals, working through the goals, and like also helping other people with him. Like you're one of those cats that I really respect.
I try. You know? I try. You know what I mean? Because I honestly believe in the whole, you give, you get back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't count my blessings, but there's been a lot of times where, like, people don't know, because people just think, oh, this guy everything must be going good. There's a lot of times I go, oh man, it's one tough week, and then boom, you get on Hawaii 5-0 check, and you go, you open them up and you go, $1.42. I can buy spam. No, you know what I mean? Like, you get that.
Yeah.
You get that. Or somebody, you know, gives you something and you go, wow. Who told you? It's been a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm in a place where, like, you know, if things are working for me and a simple guy like me can do it, you can do it too. So honestly, that's the, and it takes hard work. It doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. It doesn't.
He's always working. Yeah. It's like, it's great.
Oh, shall we go?
You're inspiring me.
Can we go on the table now? Is it that time?
Oh, yeah. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, me too. I think that's how we gotta exit, like, just, you know. Yeah. What happened? What happened? Oh, we pressing the elevator, went down. Bye. Yeah. Yeah.
Stupid.
Oh, it's coming back on the stairs. Oh, okay.
Oh.